share a little bit about what we're going to do today. So I want you to make sure to have something to write with. So paper and pen, because we are really going to be diving in today. So for about 30 to 40 minutes, I'm just going to share with you my exact process that I use to live in balance and freedom. And this is exactly what I do. This is exactly what I teach in Flow Academy. And I'm going to share it all with you today. And where this came from really was from the retreat that I held in Redmond, Oregon last weekend. I kept getting so many questions around, what is this that you do? How do you do this? Like very specific questions around the things that I did specifically. And I thought, well, people really want to know this information. Why not just share it? So I took some time to really sit down and to reflect on how I could give it to you in a way that would be digestible, because honestly, there's going to be a lot here. So you're probably only going to be able to like take away a few things and actually implement them. Anytime I talk, I want you to have a takeaway that you can implement in your life and make a change in the way that you grow, let something go, whatever it might be for you. And so have your pen ready, and then make sure you're writing down your questions as well. And today I don't want really general questions. Like a general question is like, what is the best snack? I'm not going to answer that fucking question. So a good question would be, Carmen, it seems like around like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I feel really tired and I think that I'm hungry and I'm always eating these 100-calorie snack packs. And I know there could be something different, but I want to have something because I don't want to turn to those or coffee. I really want to have more energy because I'm finding when I get home with my family, I don't have sustained energy and I really want to be present for them. Do you see how specific that is? And then I can actually workshop in my head, like the answer to that question is not the fucking snack. It's something different that I would give you a different answer. And so the answer would actually change how you do things. That's why we want to get really, really specific with the things that we do. Okay, so now we can go ahead and dive right in. So make sure to write down your questions. So first things first, the 2 reasons that we stop ourselves from growth. So we're going to get those out there now, just in case you do them, because I know sometimes I still do them. Number 1 reason, this is not for me because, this is not for me because I'm in a different stage of my life. I have young kids. I'm older. I've already done this. This is not for me because. We're just going to wipe that out. Anytime that says like, this is not for me because, it's like a limiting belief that we're holding on to. And our limiting beliefs that we hold on to is just our ego keeping us safe and keeping us small because it doesn't want us to push into uncomfortable into growth. The second reason that we keep ourselves from growth is I already know. We do this often. Oh, I already know this. I've heard this before. And what happens is our brain actually shuts off. So we're no longer open and receptive to receiving something new. And so I already know is one of the reasons that we're not doing half of the things that we commit to ourselves that we're doing, because we have most of the information that we need in order to get to where we want to go. But we're allowing this I already know to stop us because we already know, but we're only getting all this useless knowledge. Knowledge and consumption of information is pointless if you don't turn it into wisdom. The only way to turn it into wisdom is to take it from, I know the information, I'm going to implement it and integrate it into my life. But most of us say, I already know, but we're not actually implementing it and figuring out how it works for us and integrating it into our life. So I got you here today on this call in this workshop because I said, you're going to learn my exact strategy to achieve balance and freedom in my life. And guess what? Balance, there's no such thing. So I want to break this down for you. And I said that word primarily because everybody says, I want balance in my life. Have you ever said that before? Like, raise your hand if you've said that before. I know I've thought that and said that before. So I was like, okay, so how do we get this point across on what we're going to do differently and what I do differently? So that is this idea. Balance, I looked up the definition of that, and that's to create even distribution. So with taking care of ourselves, with having deep, meaningful relationships, with work, with volunteering, with with all the things that we do in our lives, do we really want to create even distribution across the board of all of those things? So answer that for yourself, but most of us are going to answer no. We don't want an even distribution because we want something different in our lives. So here's the word we're going to change balance to: integration. Here is the definition that I looked up of integration: to form or blend into a thriving, unified whole. To form or blend into a thriving, unified whole. That sounds a lot better, right? That sounds like we have choice. That sounds like within that, we could actually experience freedom. And I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so here's where your pen comes in handy. And I know I said I'm going to tell you exactly what I do each day, but we need to start like reverse engineering our life. We need to think about like big picture and then back it up to the everyday, or else you're just going to be getting on the treadmill of life and you're not really going to be getting anywhere, primarily because you don't have the energy, enthusiasm, and vision for where you want to go. But before we can do that, we need to figure out where the heck are we? So go ahead and get your pen out. And I want you to write 1 low and 5 high, just so you remember. And what I mean by this is how you are feeling fulfilled in your life currently. So I'm going to list some areas of life and you're going to write down your fulfillment level, not what you think you should be, but what you actually are in your heart, that first thing that comes up. Because guess what? Oftentimes throughout our life, these areas of life that I've keyed in on are like most important to have an integrated, fulfilled, thriving, freedomful, like full life, a rich life. Like these are the areas and they ebb and flow, and that's okay. Because a reminder is there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with life. It just is. And so we're here to experience it all. And if we can take the judgment and meaning off of it and just sit in self-awareness, like, oh, that area is low. Oh, that area is high. That area is high. I need to make sure I'm really continuing to cultivate and do the things that I do. And that area is low. I need to stop ignoring it. I actually need to put my big girl panties on and I need to do something about it. So here we go. First area to write down is going to be career. What would you rate that? 1 low, 5 high. And I'm going to give you a challenge to not list a 3. Isn't that so kind of me? Everybody wants to put a 3. Or if you do this with people, this is something that we do in Flow Academy, something that I teach with all of my one-on-one clients is if you do a scale of 1 to 10, then the 7 is the one that people can't list, right? It's the cop out. So, okay, so we had career. Next is health. Next is money or finances. Next is significant other. And then we have family and friends. And then we have the area of personal growth. And what about your free time and hobbies? Where would you rate that? 1 to 5. 1 low, 5 high. High fulfillment level. Then we have our physical environment. This could be your home, your community. What about your opportunity to give back or make a difference? This doesn't necessarily mean always time and money. It could be a kind person. It could be holding doors. It can be having conversations with people. It could be smiling. It could be through merely what we teach in Flow Academy is showing up with your presence, so high vibe that merely being in the room, you're illuminating someone else. And then lastly, what about your spiritual relationship? And this doesn't mean that you have to go to church every Sunday, although it could if that was important to you. It's having an intimate relationship of your own understanding that is just always with you, guiding you and supporting you, whatever that looks like for you. Now let's just take a moment and let's look at our lists. And I want you to pop in the chat box, what was your highest area and what was your lowest area? And while you're doing that, as I'm looking at this, I think that my lowest area, I know that my lowest area right now would probably be free time and hobbies, because I've been on the go a little bit. And so that would be my lowest area right now. Oh, Corey, yeah, we're both the same. I was actually thinking about this just yesterday. And actually, second to that would be money, because we have things changing. And so it's a constant reframe of how we want to continue building legacy for Joel and I, and us, this new vision of things doing it together versus separately. And so that's just a conversation we've been having a lot. And I want to say that since things are changing, there's uncertainty there. And so the fulfillment level has gone down, but there's no judgment to that, right? That's not good or bad, right or wrong. That's gone down a little bit. And I would say, oh, geez, so many of these are like really thriving for me. Is that cool to say? So many of these are really thriving for me. Shouldn't we normalize saying the good shit that's happening in our life, by the way? Shouldn't we normalize telling our friends when they're like, how are you? You're like, fucking awesome. Best day ever. Well, what happened? Nothing. It's just today and I feel really good, versus like always having something to complain about. Or normalize like right away, you, instead of talking about a complaint or being on the defense in our life, being on the offense and sharing like all the good shit that's been happening with us lately. Like checking ourselves in our conversations is really, really important. But for me, my career, my health, I'm just going to say probably that my spiritual relationship is really good. My physical environment, my personal growth, giving back, all of these are really good. You know, recently in my significant other relationship category, I don't even know if it can go over 5, but it has, like it's into a 6. I'm just really excited about the conversations that we're having and the growth that we're having, and the amount of cleaning up my side of the street that I still need to be doing, which is really, really cool. Okay, so highest for opportunity to give back, highest career and personal growth and service, and then lowest free time and hobbies and money. Oh, isn't that interesting that we had very similar things? But again, there's no judgment on it. It's not right or wrong or good or bad. It's just like this increased awareness of what we might want to focus on. And then also we want to make sure the areas that we're rating the highest. So by the way, if you haven't taken my superpower quiz on my website, go to carmenoling.com/superpower, because it talks about what your superpowers are as an individual, which just really means like your gifts that God has given you. And it gives you like the upside of it, but it also gives you what you could be challenged by. Because sometimes our superpower, like let's say you're like a go-getter like me, or maybe you're a cheerleader. If you're a cheerleader, you could be challenged by giving too much to other people and not doing enough for yourself. So when you think about these areas that you're really high in, there may be an opportunity where I'm actually calling someone out right now and they know it, but these areas where you're really high in, you want to look at, okay, but am I going over the edge on this? So take the superpower quiz if you haven't already. Now, the elusive question. And again, I'm going to get to what I do exactly every day, but it's like, what do I want? What is this vision that I have for my life? And what do I want? And how does that align with what God has for me? How does that align with my significant other? How does that align with how I'm showing up every single day? Because here's the thing that happens most of the time. We say we have a vision or a dream or a goal, but it's not really big. It's not at all. It's something that we already know that we'll be good at, and that we can achieve, and we're already planning on getting there. That's actually just like an action item, right? That's a to-do on the to-do list. But it's like we don't allow ourselves to dream big. We don't allow ourselves to say, I want to wake up more days than not next to the ocean, next to the beach. And when people ask, where is that? I don't know. When? I'm not certain, you know? Oh, I think it's Tulum. Oh, I had to let that go because that didn't work out. And then God brings us to Miami Beach. And I'm right now, I can see the ocean from where I am sitting right now in this exact moment. That's how you create a vision, because I would get so excited about it. Like, this is so exciting to me. We're not talking about Oregon Ocean, right? Like, I'm talking about warm beach. That's so exciting to me. Or when I would wake up every day, and by the way, before I started speaking on stages, I was so nervous to speak. I didn't want to. I did everything I could in college to take any class where I didn't have to speak in front of people. Like, I took all the interpersonal classes, like death and dying, and we had to go to like a morgue, right? Because I didn't want to stand up and talk in front of people. But when I started creating this vision, like, this was on my heart. Like, this is a way that I'm going to be able to impact people, you know, having that goal of like reaching over 100,000 women, which that was only the ripple effect. And now the wave is like 1 million women. But knowing that I needed to get there, well, what do I need to do? I need to create this vision of seeing myself on stage and seeing those people, but I wasn't like fully believing it, because it's all about evoking this energy, like the ocean, and waking up next to it and feeling it. Like, I could see myself having my coffee and doing my journaling, and Joel and I sitting out and just evoking those emotions every single day and being so focused on that. But I couldn't see the speaking one very well until I started every single day telling myself the affirmation that people are inspired by me, and they want to hear from me. I am an amazing and gifted speaker, and I make a huge impact in the world. And you tell yourself over and over again. And then it was like, oh, I could start seeing it, and I could start visioning it. And so now this is something that I highly encourage you to do every day, even if it's just for a minute, to sit in that vision and sit in the feelings of what you can see for yourself. And so right now, one of the things that I'm sitting in, and something that's really exciting, is Joel and I are doing it together, having a shared vision. You know, I write out the word farm and I circle it, and we have this vision of creating this place for family and friends to come, but also others to come to heal. We have this vision of living off the land. We have this vision of teaching and leading in a new way together, both Joel and I. And for some reason, God has like put this on our heart that it's the farm, and I don't have all the answers, and we don't have all the resources to do it today, but I know it's going to come together, and the energy is in there. And so each day, as I set out for my day, I feel that. And if doubt creeps in, then it's like, no, that's the big vision. And I just need to keep showing up each and every day to be able to get there. Take the steps today to be able to get there. And so that's a step that I want you to take each and every day, that I do each and every day. It's creating that, even if it's for 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, creating your vision. And yours is going to be different than mine. It could be something with your family. It could be something around your health. It could be something around traveling. What is it that's on your heart? But now gets the crazy part, because we're getting into our day. We're going to start getting into my day, and I'm going to share some more with you on that. But in advance of that, guess what? I create disciplines and systems and planning and organization in order to have the integration, in order to have the freedom every day. Because what brings you freedom in your life is actually planning and systems and organization and automations and doing it over again. And so really the steps here that I'm teaching you today are clarity. We just talked about clarity and where we want to go and where we're at currently. We're getting into alignment. We're anchoring in with the vision, and then we can take action. So clarity, alignment, anchoring, action. Clarity, alignment, anchoring, action. And we just like repeat that every single day. But in order to get there, we need to do what's called a brain dump every week. And I do this every single week. You may have heard this before. If you've never done it before, your list is going to be excruciatingly long, 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 long. This is everything from all your business and career tasks, all your family tasks, all your home tasks, all your personal care items, all your future travel planning, all the things that take up mental capacity in your head right now that you think about that, oh, I need to do this or I should do this. Clean out the junk drawer. Whatever it is, all the things that are taking up your mental capacity right now. It's not just the things that you say are on your to-do list, but everything that's taking up your mental capacity. You write that down. And I don't care. Do like what I do. Get a $1 notebook. Actually, I got this one in Mexico, so it wasn't $1, and it has Spanish on it, and I love it. But write it all out. And then here's what I want you to do with this list. First of all, I want you to think about your vision for your life. And I want you to think about some of the things that you need to do to get there. And I want you to think about those areas of your life where you're not feeling fulfilled and the areas of your life that you are feeling fulfilled. And think about that some of these things on this list, you just don't need to be doing them. And you just need to let them go. And the most satisfying thing, okay, who loves a good checklist and when you check something off? Yeah, okay, I'm raising both my hands. You know what's better than that? Is to completely cross it out as a not to do anymore. That is better. So you're looking at this list and you cross out the things that actually do not need to be done any longer because they're bullshit. And now we're doing a brain dump for the week, right? And so we're going to need to use some of the strategies in order to get all this shit planned out for the week. And so the next thing is, does it need to be done this week? And a lot of the things that you have on that list don't need to be done this week. Like this week, I don't need to yet pick out my outfit for my keynote that's at the end of October. But is it in my head? Yeah, because I want to look good. I want to be up there. I'm going to be doing my thing, right? But what I can do is use plan procrastination. I can just plan it into my calendar, into my schedule for the week I need to do that, which is a couple weeks from now. Now I know it's planned and I remember it because it's on that week's to-do list, but it's no longer in my head and it's not taking up mental bandwidth and capacity and draining me from that energy that I'm cultivating every single day of my vision that I want to show up with energy and enthusiasm for. Okay, so first we cross things off. They just don't need to be done this week. Then we looked at using plan procrastination. This is the only time procrastination is good is when we plan it out. And then we look at, does it need to be done by me? And gut check here, a lot of the things you can ask for help with. Especially if you're one that's living on the treadmill of life and doing, we need to check ourselves and we need to ask for help and we need to delegate. And remember, the tips for asking for help, or maybe you've not ever heard this before, ask early, ask often, and be specific. And then also let go of the expectation of how it's going to be done. If the dishwasher is not loaded in the exact sequential form that you like it, who gives a shit? The dishes are done. Right? Okay. So then now we have the most beautiful thing. We have this list of things that actually need to be done. We're not just doing busy work to do busy work because that we don't need that anymore. And they need to be done this week. And we've already asked for help and delegated. And we're so excited because we're not doing it all. We're not all alone. And we're not going to tell ourselves our story that we're not supported. We're not only not supported because we're not asking for help. How do I know? Because I held that story for a really, really long time. Now we have our list of things to do. Now, what do? We want to look at our week and see, when can we do these things? And I encourage you and challenge you to plan one thing per day. Or if you're like, one thing is challenging, maybe one needle moving like business thing, one needle moving personal thing. Or if you're like, you know, I'm not really running my own business right now. I want to do one needle moving health thing and one needle moving like family thing. Good. Perfect. Okay, we've got that. Let me tell you exactly what I do, and I'm just going to go ahead and like jump into my day and what I do. So for my week after I do this brain dump, let's say we're looking at Monday through Sunday. Monday and Friday, I schedule nothing. Monday is going to be my team check-in day, an administrative work day, that sort of thing. Friday is open capacity for creativity, for connection, for whatever comes through. Saturday and Sunday are whatever I want to do. I am going to do, which could mean working. It could mean doing something like this for you guys, right? And so that means Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the only days that I take appointments. Tuesday is when I teach in Flow Academy, and we teach at the same time each and every week. Wednesday, this year, I'm only taking 2 one-on-one personal clients at a time. That's when I do my coaching for that. And then Thursday is when I try to plan any podcast interviews, any connection calls, that sort of thing. So I'm planning my day there, and it gets even better, right? My morning rituals are so important to me, including my new focus of writing my book, that's a season of life that I'm in. So I feel like this overarching farm vision, somehow the book plays into it. And so I want to make sure that I'm sitting and writing each and every day. So what my day looks like is Joel and I usually wake up between like 6 and 7. I get up, I write in my dream journal if I had a dream. Recording your dreams are very, very amazing, and I highly, highly encourage that. And all of these things that I'm recommending, you're going to get an email with a recommendation sheet from me, so you'll have some of those resources in case you're thinking of that question. And I write right away. You want to write your dreams down without a lot of movement, or else you forget them. Then I get up, I go to the bathroom, I get a 20-ounce water bottle that has fresh lemon and chlorophyll in it. So sunshine drops from Philosophy is the brand that I use, and I drink that while I go into the bathroom. I brush and floss my teeth. Otherwise, I forget to floss my teeth if I don't do it first thing in the morning. I splash cold water on my face. No cleanser or anything. I don't need that. I already washed the night before. I moisturize my face with a brand called Skin Al is what I'm currently using. I also do either an ice roller or ice, and I ice my face like this. That helps reduce any puffiness or inflammation. And then I do the gua sha tool with oil on my face and on my neck. It just feels so good. And then I use oil and I put it all over my whole entire body and say some positive affirmations to myself. And I do this every single morning. I've done this for years now, and it really helps set the stage to be like, I love myself. I love my body. I'm caring for myself. And if you put coffee in at first, when you first wake up, well, you're dehydrating yourself even more, because overnight, even though you didn't say I'm fasting, you're fasting because you're not eating or drinking. So you actually need water first. Then I get like my journal, my devotional, my book that I'm reading. And side note, I am only consuming things that are around building legacy and wealth or being creative. Because right now, the two big things that are coming up for me is this big farm vision with Joel and creatively creating my book. So I know the farm vision is going to take wealth, it's going to take resources. And so I'm only consuming things around those two things besides like the Bible and my journal, because otherwise I'm going to have so much coming in. I don't need to learn the newest and greatest health BS anymore. Like, I don't want to listen to that podcast, and I don't want to read that book, because right now I'm focused in on these things, and that's perfect for me. So I get my journal, get my devotional, and I head out to the kitchen. I get another 20 ounces of water with lemon electrolytes in it, because it's not about just drinking water. We have to have the right balance of sodium and minerals in our body. So I have electrolytes, and then I get my coffee. My coffee consists of a little bit of whatever milk I have. Sometimes it's coconut, almond, cashew, a little bit of stevia, and a sprinkle of cacao magic, which is a superfood cacao from the Philosophy brand. And then I go out to our porch and I sit there, and Joel and I sit together. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we sit in silence, but we read, we journal, we pray, we meditate, things like that, which is really, really wonderful. Then, although I haven't been doing this for a few weeks, I would go on my God walk. When I was in Vegas, I dropped this liter of club soda on my toe. I don't know if I broke my toe, but it's really hard to walk for a while, but I could do other things. But my God walk is a time where I'm not listening to anything. I'm just open to receive. So in the morning is where you have your most alignment, your most spiritual connection, and you're open to receive. And so not being on your phone, not listening to anything, just asking for guidance for the day. Another thing you could do on your walk is you could use it as like a visualization meditation where you can start visioning whatever that is, and again creating those feelings in your body, because your brain doesn't know the difference between it actually happening and you creating this vision in your mind. And the more that you can do it, the more excited you're going to get about it, the more likely you're not going to get distracted, you're not going to stop yourself from really completing what you wanted to complete for the day. Then I get my booty over into the gym. I did some sort of movement, whether it be cardio, stretching, core work, that sort of thing. I don't do my weight training yet. Come home and eat food. And then that would be the time that I use to write, because I start my workday at 1 p.m. Why did I pick 1 p.m.? Well, it was kind of forced on me because when I was in Oregon, it started at 10. And then as I moved, I just never changed it and I just allowed it to like naturally flow. So I start at 1 p.m. What I'm eating right now for breakfast is a big ass bowl of oatmeal with some chia seeds and flax seeds in it, some protein powder. And then I also have a little bit of greens with some eggs and some vegetables cooked. I have a really big meal for breakfast. And that's really important to me because I want to feel satiated and full. I don't want to be worrying about what I'm eating or what I need to eat later. Later for lunch, it's usually sweet potatoes and vegetables cooked with avocado oil and some lean protein. And then for dinner is going to be something similar. I also make a snack of like a chia pudding with protein powder, chia seeds, flax seeds. Sometimes I put pumpkin, sometimes I put cacao in it. And whatever fruit that I have right now, it's been bananas. I'm considering switching to apples though. It's kind of like I eat the same thing primarily because I don't want to have to decide. I wear similar clothes because I want to take that decision off. Oftentimes I'll know what I'm going to wear for the week and I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to show up. And so I can show up for what's most important for my vision for my life at this season in my life versus having my energetic capacity. That's why we do the brain dump, energetic capacity pulled down. So that is pretty much what I do as far as the day goes and planning my day. I have a little more to add to that and then I'll open it up for questions. Let me look at my notes here. So breaks are really important. Taking a break, if you can get moving somehow, maybe you get outside in nature is the best. If you can't, turn on Florence and the Machine, shake it out and start shaking your whole body. Seriously, if you're like, BS Carmen, that is not going to work, it works. Just try it. Just get it up on Spotify or whatever playlist you have, get it on YouTube and shake your body. Because here's what happens. Our bodies are energetic and there's so much energy there. And when you sit all day, which is what we often do, it gets stagnant. Our energy gets stagnant. And so we think, oh, I need coffee, I need food, I need a snack. You don't. You just need to move and you can naturally get the energy again. So make sure to get energy. The second thing is to make sure that you have a realignment practice, because here's what's going to happen. Something's going to happen during your day that is unexpected. And then this overriding feeling of discouragement is going to set in. And this is the feeling that nobody talks about, but almost everybody feels often during their week. And if we don't realign when we feel discouraged, what happens then? That friend to discouragement, doubt, that bestie comes in, doubts. We start doubting ourselves that we can do it. Am I meant for this? Did I do it right? What do they think? All the doubt comes in. And then because they're besties and they're pretty powerful, we allow those things to override. And so then we feel defeated. And defeat is a really big slippery slope because it gives us an out. It gives us an out to blame it on our external circumstances, someone else or something else, why we didn't keep our commitment to ourselves, although we're still feeling like crap, we're not keeping our commitment to ourselves. And so we need people in our life that can help us when those times happen, because we all have blind spots. We all have opportunities where we need support and we need connection. Otherwise, we're going to be going through, we're going to get all high vibe, and then it's going to be that same discouragement, doubt, defeat, and we're going to start on Monday every single day. You know what I mean by start on Monday? It's like starting over. It's like, oh, I had the one, if you're on a health journey and trying to like lose body fat, I had the one cookie, F it, I'm just going to eat everything over the weekend and then I'm going to start again on Monday. We don't want to have that with any of our dreams and goals. And so having people in our corner is really important. And so the thing that I say to this is we are no longer locking these stories of what we're making it mean about ourselves into our shame closet. And what I mean by that is the difference between guilt and shame is guilt is, oops, I made a mistake. Something didn't go as planned. I'm going to change and I'm going to do just something different next time. Shame is, oh, this happened. It means something about me. You go down that discouragement, doubt, defeat, slippery slope, and then you take it and you save it for yourself in isolation and you don't share it with anybody and you make it mean something about you. And then you just bury it down and you just cover it up and you put on a pretty face and you never talk about it. And guess what happens when you save all those things? And it could be the smallest thing, right? Maybe you just weren't showing up and doing the task that you wanted to do. Maybe you said something that came off wrong to your significant other and you're not admitting to it. Maybe whatever it is, it could be so small. But we have all these shame stories that we carry around. And today I want you to make a commitment to, first of all, if you got a lot of shit in there, you need to find somebody, you need to get somebody, you need to get in a group like Flow Academy or get a coach or get a friend and start speaking those things out loud in a safe space where there's no judgment, where people can just listen to you. And then you need to make a commitment to not to put anything in there. So what happens for me is Joel most of the time gets my shame stories. I was feeling like this earlier today. I didn't keep this commitment to myself. This is what happened. But I know, like, right? I know that that's not the truth. I know that, and really working through that, because when you speak it out loud, it no longer has power over you. You take your own power back. So having some way to realign with that high vibe energy that we built in the morning. The other thing that I want to encourage you to do is transition rituals. So transition rituals are what you can do to move from one task to the next task while maintaining the same high vibrational energy. So for example, one of the things is I've always worked from home. Often Joel would work away from home a few days a week. So I would be ending my day, then I want to do a transition ritual before he comes home so that when he comes home, then all my energy isn't drained. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect at this. Sometimes I'm still drained at the end of the day, but I would go out, I would go on a walk, I would celebrate all the things that were good. I would get these high vibrational energies within me again. When I worked my corporate job, I would make sure like that everything was off my brain of the to-do list. The to-do list was written for the next day and left at work before I left the office, so I wasn't taking it home with me. And then I would get in the car and I would play music that I could roll down the windows to and I could sing really loudly and I could just enjoy and I could release my day because everything was taken care of. And so when I show up, I'm not still holding that baggage from my corporate job. So you have these transition rituals, and maybe it's the work that you're doing for yourself. Maybe you're going from doing administrative work to creative work, and you need to change that. So you need to build high vibe energy if you're going to go from administrative boring BS to creative work. So you need to get outside, you need to move. And oftentimes we don't do this and we're not doing these transition rituals. And guess what happens? Then we don't do the next thing like we intended. And so then we go down the slippery slope of discouragement, doubt, and defeat again. And we make it mean something about us. And then we isolate because we think that we need to do it all alone. And we pack it away as a shame story. And we are not doing that anymore. I don't do that. I speak things out loud. The other thing is making sure that you're connecting with other people that are important to you often. Here's what I mean by that. There's lots to your inner circle, and this is something that we talk about often, but your inner circle of those people in the middle is small. For me, it's just a couple of people. Those are the people that you want to really keep up with, you want to check in on. Like, what do you want someone to check in on you for? Making sure that you check in on them. So I actually have written down a list of people that I want to not systematically, but I want to be, my awareness is heightened that I'm making sure, even if it is just to send them a text message, even if it's to send them a funny meme, even if it's when my iPhone shows me picture memories, I make sure to text it to them instead of just enjoying it for myself. It's recognizing them, because as humans, we all do, I do, we want to be seen. We want to feel safe. We want to feel secure. We want to feel connected. And so this is my group of like the inner circle, right? That they'll do the same for me. And then I have a circle out here of people that are purposeful relationships, I would say, business contacts, connections, healers, thought leaders, innovators, people that I've built a relationship with, or that I'm currently curating a relationship with, or that I want to. So people ask me all the time, how do you make friends with other influential women? Well, I'm intentional about connecting with them. I'm intentional about sending them a note. I'm intentional about connecting with them on Instagram. I'm intentional about seeing what they're offering and sharing and promoting it without being asked or asking for, like, oh, good job, thank you so much. They don't even know that I'm doing it most of the time, is because I'm being intentional, because that relationship is something that I want, because I know that if I just maintain my relationships that I've always had, that maybe are not at a growth capacity, and I'm not getting into rooms or joining groups that I'm going to up level, that I'm just going to stay the same. Lastly, another transition ritual that you can do is reframing your thoughts and letting go of tension. So the goal for transition rituals is to release tension and then to set your intention for the next thing. So something really easy that I want to share, and I'll also send you over just a couple of like prayers that you could do, where it's just something as easy, like your thoughts get out of whack. You could just say, I recognize this thought is not of my highest self, and I choose again. And then you just choose a better thought. I'll send you over, I'll email you over some others, but just for a lack of time, what I want you to try with me right now is just sitting, so your neck and back and head are all in alignment, and breathing in through your nose and then out through your mouth. And then when you breathe out, saying release to yourself. Breathe in, out, release, release, release. And so this is something you can actually do anytime you feel out of alignment. It's releasing. You don't even need to know what it is. Sometimes we're trying so hard to figure out what it is, and it's just like, screw it, just get it out. Like, get the negative energy out, get back realigned with your big vision. And so that release technique is something that you can do. The other thing I focus on throughout the day is, and that will help you reduce overwhelm, is do it right away and do it to completion. Don't leave dishes in the sink. Don't get the laundry out of the dryer and dump them on the bed and then do them later and then scooch them into the chair in the corner of the room. Do it right away and do it to completion. You get something out, you put it away in its place. Things don't have a place, you make a place for them. Because here's what I want you to know about freedom, is that discipline, systems, and organization bring you freedom. Most people are like, no, Carmen, it's being spontaneous. Yeah, but do you want to have the ability to be spontaneous? You can only do that if you get the freedom in your life through the disciplines and systems and organizations like the ones that I've shared with you today. Let me make sure, I'm just going to check my notes. I write all these notes and then I sometimes forget to share them. So I want to recap. The areas that we talked about. We talked about creating space and capacity in our life, and then we talked about creating a vision. So we have to have the capacity and the space to be able to create the vision. And then we need to have daily rituals that support us and support where we want to go within this vision. And we need to check ourselves on our thoughts and beliefs that we're having each and every day through checking in, not just being on the treadmill of life. And then we need to make sure that we're in we have supportive relationships and environments. And it's up to us. You know, my invitation for everyone is to be the one to show the world how great life truly is. And that's really the movement that we're creating and what we're creating like within Flow Academy. And so these 5 areas that I just shared with you are actually the foundational 5 areas that I teach in Flow Academy, that you come in and you learn for yourself in your life, so you can show up and be the one to make the difference that you want to make in the world, however you're doing that, whether you get certified as a holistic life coach or whether you just take these tools and use them with your family. So I have a couple of quotes I want to share, and then I will take some questions and we'll be done, and we'll get back to this beautiful Saturday morning or afternoon, depending on where you are at. Okay. Quote number 1 is from James Clear, and it says this: do not confuse things that are hard with things that are valuable. Many things in life are hard. Just because you're giving a great effort does not mean you're working towards a great result. Make sure the mountain is worth climbing. And why this is so important, because for a long time I was stuck doing this, I would call it like busy work, but it wasn't actually work that moves the needle. And when you jump into that system that I taught you about planning and brain dumping, you can actually even create a schedule for your year. But when you jump into that and you vision, you can see, are my actions each day aligning with my aspirations, with my vision? And you can check in and really call yourself out on your BS there. The other quote that I always say is, you can only keep up with your calling. And when I mean calling, I mean like dreams and goals for your life. You can only keep up with your calling to the level your body can take it. So if something's coming up with your body right now, like that's an opportunity to check in and maybe make some changes there. Okay. The next one also is a pretty big one, because often we allow our relationships, sometimes our friendships, sometimes family members like our mom, our dad, or sister or brother, and sometimes our significant other, to hold us back from really where we want to go. So we get the clarity, but then we can't get in alignment and anchored to be able to take the action, because again, we're going down that slippery slope: discouragement, doubt, defeat. And in defeat, it's easier to point the finger at someone else. So let me read you this one. Your relationships will rarely be healthier than your self-esteem. If the time you spend alone is already enjoyable to some degree, that is, if you have a healthy internal monologue and generally feeling good about yourself, then you will have a high bar for the type of relationships you'll enter. But if you're unhappy with yourself, then you're more likely to put up with bad relationships, because they may occasionally make you feel better than when you do it alone. If you want a great relationship, the first thing is to be comfortable and happy with yourself. And I share that because oftentimes as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a go-getter, we're focusing on other people and we forget to turn the mirror back on ourselves. And great leaders, great coaches, great thought leaders, heart-centered individuals, they know that it's really up to them to turn the mirror back on themselves and do the work for themselves first, so that they can show up as their highest and best. And most people forget that. And that's pretty much the whole reason why I created Flow Academy, so we can, like I said, be the one. Now, the last thing is just about believing and then reassessing and not making it mean anything about your worth. So your starting position has to be somewhat optimistic, or you'll find yourself let's start over again. Here we go. Your starting position has to be somewhat optimistic, or you'll talk yourself out of getting started. So that first sentence was really big. That's why we create a vision for our life and create space and create a dream, not just another checklist of we're going to get an accolade because we're addicted to getting the good jobs. Like, this is a vision that we might fail, and that's okay. We never know. We're always going to learn. Believing in what you're about to do does not guarantee success, but a lack of belief can prevent it. Once you're committed, pessimism becomes useful. Question things. Find holes in your plan. i.e., go back to what we did, rate your life, see what you need to do, check yourself, hold yourself to the highest standard, and try to identify your mistaken beliefs before they become misplaced in your actions. How powerful is that? That's why I'm saying check in, transition rituals, be intentional, have that supportive system that will be there for you, calling you out on your BS with your blind spots. After you spent some time troubleshooting, it's back to optimism again. Our vision, that energy we're cultivating. Nothing will ever be perfect, but you have to act anyways. Progress requires the courage to forge ahead despite the inevitable obstacles, because we're always going to have obstacles. And guess what? Obstacles, they create confidence and resiliency. So that is all I had for you today. And if it is on your heart, any of your heart, or anyone watching this on the replay, to be the one to join thousands of other thought leaders and change makers and heart-centered individuals, leaders, entrepreneurs, and coaches, so we can all heal together, teach, speak, and lead bigger and bolder than ever before, then I do invite you to reach out about Flow Academy, because tomorrow it's going to open for enrollment for the next cohort. So I'm excited about that. But lastly, I want to answer your questions on achieving. What did we change the word balance to? Integration and freedom in your life. And remember, I want specific questions too. So who wants to go first?
I love when you say, Carmen, how to bring myself back from disappointing news, or I'm going along in my day or my week, and I have all the systems in place, and then something goes completely wrong. I like the breathing technique and the release, but is there other ways to be able to bring myself back without going into the negative mindset of, who do I think I am? Maybe that's not meant for me. All of that fear stuff. So can you give some other ideas or methods that might help get me back to that place where I can think and see clearly again without beating myself up?
Yeah, two of the things that I specifically do, since I told you I was going to share what I do, is I'll actually say a prayer, because I recognize that these thoughts, like I shared, these thoughts are not of my highest self. They're not in alignment. And I'm not anchored in my highest self anymore, aligned with love, aligned with God. So I'll just ask, like, can you take this from me now? Crack me open, empty me out, fill me up, renew my mind, guide my steps, speak through me. And I'll just kind of say that over and over again, like being willing to cracked open, being willing to be emptied out, being willing to like have it all go and then renew my mind. And so I'll say that prayer. The other thing is phone a friend or talk to someone that's at home. Hey, and when you speak it out loud, and it could even be a voice note. Maybe you send somebody a voice, like a friend, a voice note. So you just hold down the record button and you just say, well, shit's getting real today. This happened, I didn't expect it. And so I'm going down one of those paths of when you start talking shit to yourself, and I'm saying this, this, and this. I just need to get this out because it no longer can have power over me, and I am taking my power back. I love you. No need to respond, or you can if you want. Okay, bye. Like, and you just get it out. Oftentimes I'll tell Joel, hey, this is what I was thinking earlier. Another technique is just to use the check-in technique from Brene Brown, like asking yourself, is this true? Whatever thought you're thinking, is this true? How do I know this is true? Because sometimes we tell ourselves it's true, even though it's BS. And then you uncover it's not true. And then you say, who would I be? How would I act? How would I show up? How would I think without this thought? And you write it down, and then you do one of those things. And then once you get into action, back over here, alignment and anchored into the action, then life's going to meet you at your point of action, and you'll feel the momentum and the motivation again.
I have the cold chill, so I think that's really good advice. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you for asking a specific question. Corey, did you have one?
I do. So you're you're all in, you're going after this dream that you know that you're supposed to be doing, and you get the fear. The fear always comes, right? But the fear is coming because we don't necessarily know the next step. So how do we get over that not knowing the next step?
Such a great question. It's to stay in action around the things that are lighting you up today, knowing that they are going to get you there. Also, sometimes, just like gratitude, being okay with not knowing the next step and telling ourselves that can stop us from taking the next biggest, scariest step that we need. And what I mean by like gratitude is sometimes we'll be in gratitude. I'm so grateful for all the things in my life. And then we don't dream for bigger because inside we're not internally believing for more. So I want you to take some time to check yourself on, I'm okay with not knowing the next step, or am I just not risking enough to take a step that I've never taken before? And is it now time for me to take another step? And what would that be? And gaining that clarity in the morning. So if this is something that you're sitting on, you're most aligned. We want to get really aligned and anchored into our day in the morning. That's when we're most connected spiritually. And so really ask that question, show me, show me, show me, like ask for that. And then you have to pay attention, and then you have to be willing to do it, because it's going to be really interesting things that happen, right? Really things that come up where you might think like, oh, that's not for me. Like when I asked show me, there's like, oh, do a lecture series. Oh, that's not for me. Like, what is that? And I pushed it away. And so I think being really honest with ourselves, that sometimes we do know the next step, but it's not always going to be clear cut on like how to get there.
Right.
Great question. Okay. Linda or Hannah, did either one of you have a question? It's okay if you don't, but oh yeah, Hannah.
Okay, I do. I was trying to think of how to say this. So, okay, my morning routine is a mess, and that is like consistently my problem, as you know. And so I think what I get stuck on, if I'm trying to be really specific, is I'm trying to balance like all the tasks of like the things I want to do, like the dreaming and the creative, that feel to me almost like a luxury. Like, okay, when I get done with all the shit that I have to do to pay the bills, I have to like get my client work done, that kind of thing. Then I get to like move on and work on this other stuff. And so I tend to first thing in the morning kind of start with getting all of my client work done and like, my work. And then like I'm so depleted that it's like I never get to the next step. And I feel like I just start that first thing in the morning, and I'm not sure how to schedule that in. Like, I love your morning routine of like getting up and like having all that time. And I'm sure it's something I could do. I think it's like that mental block of feeling like, what if I have to get this client work done. I have to do it. I have deadlines that I have to meet. And so what if I don't ever get to that? So I start it first thing, and then my whole day is just kind of like, so how would you structure a day when you also have to add in like those, like I need to put in a significant amount of hours, like getting work done, because I don't have a day job, but I have things I have to get done, like deadlines,
Right. Yeah. And we all have those. I think everybody can relate. We all have those things that we need to get done that aren't really like the whatever airy fairy dreaming, like those types of things. I have those things that I need to get done too. And I want to first, I'm going to do this actually. I want to recognize you because I've been meaning to send you a text message. So for everyone that doesn't know Hannah, but Hannah is so amazing, and her husband have a really big dream around traveling with their daughter and experiencing life to the fullest. But again, what she was just talking about is there are some responsibilities, and they've recently been trying it out. And so recently she tried it out. I kind of followed and watched, and then the next day she came back and she showed up like an effing boss at this event and like emceed it and did all the things. But it wasn't from the energy, from what I could see, you could check me if I'm wrong. It wasn't from the energy of I have to. She was living in this idea of both and. so I can do this dreaming and this thing, this vision that my husband and I have for our life. And then the next day I can show up to this responsibility, but it felt good because I'm choosing it. And I just wanted to
Yeah.
recognize you for that, because
Thank you.
not too many people can be the both and that I have chills for you right now. I've been meaning to send you a voice note and I haven't. I saw that, I think maybe when I was at my retreat, or I can't remember. But that was huge for you. And so my answer
Thank
for
you.
you is to give yourself a break. Give yourself a little bit of a break. You're really hard on yourself. I too can be that way, really hard on myself. So what I would envision for you is like being okay with only doing work for the day. And then maybe the next day working on the other creative stuff.
Yeah. So like blocking it, more like a blocked
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, like, it really takes me a minute to get into flow if I'm like writing email copy or writing things like that, you know. And so I really have to have a good amount of space to be able to do it. And I know I'm not going to be able to do it if I just did a bunch of coaching. It's just not going to happen at the end of the day. I just am not going to be energetically available for that. But it's also okay that like you're like, okay, today I'm going to do a 10-minute morning routine. And then I am busting all this shit out for my clients. And tomorrow I'm going to do a 1-hour morning routine that includes my walk that I love to do, because I'm going to be in the creative.
I love that. I guess I didn't even think about that as like giving myself a break. That's really nice.
Yeah. And I think
I'm gonna
for
try that
you,
this week. Thank
especially,
you.
yeah. So both and. It
Both
can be
and.
both and.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be either or. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Let's see. We'll see if Linda has any questions. If not, then we'll just get back to our Sunday. Oh, you're on mute. Can't figure it out? You could type it in the chat box if you want to. Oh, there you go.
Figured it out. Sorry, I'm trying to do this on my phone. I'm not familiar with it. I'm good. I'm just absorbing and listening on my new journey. I'm trying to get my rituals. I really like the fact that I don't have to do them all at one time. I need to find my pace. I need to be able to balance with work and still, be okay with what I can get done. So it's kind of where I'm at. So I appreciate everybody's comments and your thoughts and wisdom.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I want to encourage you too. Sometimes daily rituals are really about reflection and like aligning, like I said, like the clarity, the alignment, the anchoring, and the action. And so maybe your morning rituals are short, but maybe you have a longer evening ritual where you take care of yourself, you reflect on your day, you think about like, did my actions match my aspirations today? And no judgment, right? We're just being a witness. It's like we're zooming out and being a witness of our day. The worst thing we can do is be a judge and then make it mean something about us. So just thinking like, oh, well, today I did a lot of things that nourished myself, or maybe I didn't. What am I going to do differently tomorrow? And then just do that. So sometimes in the evening, you could do an evening ritual as well. So that is all I had for you. I'm so excited that each of you showed up for yourself and for each other, because this is what community is all about. This is the importance of being in community, and we're not meant to do things alone. Being in relationship with other women, especially, that are also willing to put themselves out there and be vulnerable, but also want to grow and change and are so heart-centered and are actual like thought leaders. Like this is so important for us to be together. So thank you for being here, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your Sunday.